The blender, a symbol for health food that has been the basis for numerous smoothie shops promising you the next superfood smoothie and delivering a syrup-loaded carb catastrophe of a drink. No, this isn't a video about how a lot of those companies pump their smoothies full of sugar, replace fruit with substitutes so they don't have to use real fruit, or replace dairy products with something like sherbet, making their drink even more unhealthy. No, that would take up an entire video of its own. Today we're just going to talk about how the actual act of putting food in the blender and blending it up adds calories to food. And so how does this work? The first topic I'm going to talk about is probably the most obvious, and that is chewing. Chewing, like every other action you do, does burn calories. I mean, even breathing and your heart beating burns calories, so it makes sense that chewing does burn some calories. But you really don't burn much doing it. According to the Mayo Clinic, although I couldn't find the actual article, but everyone else says they reported it, you burn about 11 calories per hour chewing gum. Now, I don't think anybody's throwing gum in their smoothies, but if we assume that this rate of burning calories is similar to other foods, then we can make a decent guesstimate on how many calories we burn by chewing. If we were to take everything that normally goes into a smoothie and put it on a plate to eat instead of drink, I think it would take about 10 to 15 minutes of actual chewing. Now, this is just actual chewing, removing all the time between bites where you're maybe checking your email or watching a YouTube video. This would equate to about 2 or 3 calories if we were to assume the same rate of burning calories as chewing gum. So by making a smoothie, you are saving yourself 2 or 3 calories from chewing. Pretty underwhelming, right? Well, that's why we have more topics in this video than just chewing, like the difference in digestion between chewed food and blended smoothies. Blenders are just good at what they do. This is a fact that I don't think anybody would be willing to argue. Since their invention in 1922 by Stephen Poplawski and later improvement and commercial debut by Fred Osius and Fred Waring in 1933, blenders have come a long way. Nowadays, blenders can have blade RPMs of over 30,000. That is over 500 rotations per second, which is a whole heck of a lot if you ask me. And with all that power and speed, they can blend stuff really well. And by that I mean they can break food up into really small particles so you can get that extra silky smoothie. Basically, the blender is doing your chewing for you, and it does it a whole heck of a lot better than you ever would. These blenders are breaking up food into particles far smaller than any human could recreate just chewing unless they're doing jaw-cramping amounts of it. So if you were to compare the particle sizes of chewed food versus blended food, you'd find that blended food is much smaller than chewed food. And in turn, it means that chewed food takes more work to digest than blended food. Why? Because you already did a bunch of the work for the digestive system already. Now, I'm no doctor, so don't put what I'm about to say in your capstone thesis, but digestion is the process of breaking down food to its basic building blocks so that it can be absorbed into your bloodstream and later used in all sorts of different functions in your body. When food comes in and it's already finely chopped into tiny pieces, this process becomes a lot easier. But the part I want to focus on here is enzyme secretion. From the moment food even comes into sight or even in range of your nostrils, sniffing away at scents wafting to you from afar, your body starts secreting enzymes for digestion. A couple enzymes that everybody knows are saliva and stomach acid. Even before food reaches your mouth, your body will start preparing to digest food by 1. Salivating, and 2. Producing stomach acid so that when you do eat, your stomach can start digesting right away. When the food moves into the intestines, your body secretes other enzymes that break down fats, proteins, and sugar. And when the enzymes are done doing their job, your body stops secreting them and the food eventually leaves your body. Well, when you've already eviscerated your food in a high-powered blender, you don't need as many enzymes to do the job. Think of it like this. You have a boulder and you have a bunch of rocks. The boulder is going to represent the food that you chewed, and the bunch of rocks is going to represent blended food. These two weigh the same, let's say about half a ton, the food equivalent of about half a gram, but we're scaling up for this example. Now the job you need to do is to break up this boulder and these bunch of rocks into sand. The sand is going to represent the end product of the digestive system, or the building blocks of all the food that you ate. We also have a time limit for this job, and we'll call that 12 hours. Then we have the workers that are going to be breaking up the boulder and the rocks into sand, and those are representing the enzymes breaking down food in your body. Now it would make sense that you need more workers to break the boulder to sand than the rocks to sand, and this is because the rocks are already more broken up than the boulder. We are saving out on how many workers we need to do the job by having the rocks pre-broken up, so it would make sense that your body is saving energy by having food pre-broken up by the blender. And just like everything else in the world, enzymes aren't free. It takes bits of energy and components from food you've already eaten to make these enzymes. Essentially what I'm trying to say is you are burning calories making these enzymes that are put to use in the digestive system, and when you're not using as many enzymes by having your food blended, you are effectively adding calories to the food. You have muscles on your organs. Not huge bulging bodybuilder muscles, but you do have thin layers of muscle that line the digestive tract and keeps everything moving on its way through the gut. Just like every other muscle, digestive muscles spend calories to do their work. But just before we get moving on any further, this is the part I am least confident whether you are actually burning more or fewer calories. From what I can tell, liquids do pass through the digestive tract more quickly, so they do require less mixing, which, yes, is one of the roles of the digestive system. But I'm not sure if this directly relates to more or fewer calories burned. Again, I am no doctor, but if I had to guess, because the food is spending less time in your gut and you have to move the food through your body either way, it would make sense that you burn fewer calories by removing some of the mixing process. Anyway, what does all this mean? Well, people use about 10% of their calorie intake in digestion alone. So if we were to say that the blender reduces the amount of calories spent on digesting the same amount of food, just blended versus not blended, by about 20%, which is a completely arbitrary number I just made up on the spot, and you would need to conduct actual clinical experiments to find the real number, but it's a number I wouldn't be surprised being higher or lower. Then we just need to factor in the 20% savings on however many calories the food we are blending is. For this example, we'll use a 500 calorie smoothie, which isn't anything crazy, especially if you're adding protein powder to your smoothie. For the calculations, we take 10% of those calories, which would be used in digesting, so 50 calories. Then we take the 20% savings on that, so 10 calories. Plus the chewing, don't forget the chewing part, so 13 calories. 13 calories? Huh, really thought it would be more. Now there is some other stuff I could talk about, like the possibility for higher blood sugar spikes from the blended fruit in smoothies, but nothing that contributes to the actual numerical value of the calorie count. So basically what I'm trying to say is, unless you are really strict about your diet, like measuring food to the 10th of a gram sort of strict, you probably don't need to worry about the extra calories associated with smoothies. So blend away, drink as many smoothies as you'd like, as long as you know what's in them. Make your own smoothies, don't buy them. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. It makes me happy and it's free, so really it's a win-win. I know this video is a little different from what I normally make, so if you like this type of video, I will make more of them. Anyway, that's all I have for now, so see you next time.